able to layer up properly is arguably one of the most important aspects of being able to enjoy your time out on the mountain. Whether it's an insanely deep powder day or a beautiful bluebird day, if you're either dressed too light and you're too cold, or on the flip side, if you're dressing too heavily and you're too warm, it could arguably impact being able to enjoy your time out on the slopes. So in today's episode, sponsored by Mountain Hardwear, we're going to be going over the ways to properly and effectively layer. So next time you're on the mountain, you are comfortable all day long and you can stay skiing for the entire day. Now, I found that layering is kind of a work in progress, and as you get more experience on the hill, you'll kind of find what works for you in different temperatures and whatnot. But for the most part, there's kind of an overarching, I want to almost say, formula to follow when it comes to layering up. This mostly applies to if you're using a non-insulated shell jacket like this Mountain Hardwear one here, but even if you have an insulated jacket, these same principles kind of apply. And this is as simple as a base layer, a mid layer, and an outer layer. I think one of the common misconceptions when it comes to layering is that wearing more layers will keep you warmer. And I think one of the things people don't realize is having too many layers on can actually make you even colder because you're unable to let your moisture escape out from sweating and working when you're skiing, and it actually ultimately ends up making you colder. So more layers does not necessarily equal being warmer. So the first step of this equation is a base layer. This is usually some sort of synthetic fiber, or even best case scenario, some sort of wool. The only thing you want to avoid is any sort of cotton, something that's gonna absorb your sweat. When we're skiing, even when it is very cold outside, your body's sweating, you're working. So you don't wanna have a material that absorbs that sweat, and then it essentially, as you're sitting on the lift or windy, it just makes you even more cold. So your first step, some sort of base layer here. The main job is to wick your moisture away and help retain your body heat. You want something that's pretty form-fitting. You don't want something super loose where it's easy for your body heat to kind of escape out. But again, you don't want something so tight that it kind of defeats the purpose in there. So something that's kind of tight that's able to fit underneath two more layers, right? We got to add more stuff on top of this. So if it's too baggy, won't really work. But the biggest thing when it comes to that first base layer is no cotton. You want something that's going to be able to wick your sweat away, make it so when you do sweat, it goes away and it doesn't, dry and make you cold. And sort of stay underneath the layers. The job of the mid layer is to provide insulation and essentially trap your body heat from escaping. So if you don't have an adequate mid layer, you're not gonna stay warm because the base layer, again, isn't really meant for really insulating your body heat. And the outer layer, as you find out, really has no warming or insulative properties or capabilities when using a shell. So most commonly a mid layer is something like a fleece or something that has some sort of down insulation. And for our mid layers, Mountain Hardwear sent me the Core Alloy mid layer. This is made out of 100% nylon and has synthetic insulation. So when put this over your base layers, this will help retain your body heat and just make it so you stay warm. So not only do these have air mesh technology to keep them light and breathable, it also has Primaloft gold insulation. So one of the things I really like about the Core Alloy series is that it kind of it doesn't scream like mid layer or base layer, right? It's kind of one of those things where sometimes when you're wearing a underlayer for skiing and you go to the grocery store, like everyone knows you're wearing a base layer, right? But these are kind of sporty enough. They have like this nice drawstring. They have pockets on the side for phones or little wallets or stuff, but they're kind of able to wear around without feeling like you're kind of naked or like in tights, So they have breathability while also retaining that insulation. So we have the bottoms here. I'm like 5'10", 190 pounds. I'm wearing the size large. We also have the Core Alloy top here. This is the glacial color in a size large. But before I put this on, I actually like putting my bibs on first and then putting my mid layer over the top of my bibs. It's kind of a personal preference. I just find that it's a little bit easier fitting for me that way. So before I get to the rest of the mid layer, I need to put an actual outer layer on first. This is kind of the tertiary layer that you want for your skiing. And these are their Mountain Hardwear high exposure 3-layer Gore-Tex bibs in combat green. I got a size large with a regular inseam. I would say I'm pretty average, sort of 5'10". But again, this is only a shell, so it has maximum waterproof, maximum windproofing capability, but there's no insulation. So that's why we have to layer up underneath. I've been a bib user for a while, and I must say that these bibs are pretty damn nice. They are super light, but has incredible 3-layer Gore-Tex for that maximum waterproofing and windproofing capability. The high exposure series is made out of 100% recycled 3-layer Gore-Tex. It's got the fully waterproof zippers and seams. It's got these really nice sort of chest pockets that you typically find on bibs, but it's kind of cool how they come down and into the center. So this is where I'll keep a lot of my GoPro batteries and extra batteries so they're warm. It's got two big thigh pockets as well, which I usually keep my keys in there when I'm on the mountain. It's got the two-way zipper to make it a little bit easier to go to the bathroom, and also just give you a little bit more breathability if you want it. And then it's got a really big vent pocket here on the side, or another way to help you get into the bibs if you prefer a side access sort of deal. So something like this is really like that final element stopper. This is what, you know, we love the water, we love the fresh snow, but you need something that's going to keep you dry. In a 3-layer Gore-Tex piece like this, while also being lightweight, breathable, easy to pack away if you're touring or something like that, is kind of what you want to really wrap up the whole package. So another cool thing about these bibs and this whole series is that the bibs and also the jacket, which I'll talk about in a bit, comes with Rico technology. What Rico is it's a rescue technology. It by no means substitutes having a beacon, but in the case you do get buried in an avalanche in the backcountry, most worldwide emergency services have Rico technology where they can almost scan the snow with like a big radar, and it will kind of pick up the Rico that you have in the coat or your pants. You don't need a battery for it, you don't need to activate or anything, and the more Rico technology you have, the better chance you have of being found. But again, it doesn't substitute having proper knowledge and equipment when you're in the backcountry, but it's just one extra layer that you don't really always find in bibs and jackets. So we got the high exposure bibs on. We are now gonna go back and throw our core mid layer over the top. Again, some people prefer to put this underneath. I usually put my mid layer over the top of my bibs. I just find that it keeps me a little bit warmer. Mid layer over the top, it's got this cool pocket again. It's kind of like, yeah, they're sporty. They don't really feel like a traditional base layer. So, and then the final piece of this whole thing is your jacket. Again, this is the high exposure Gore-Tex. This is, you know, the sister or the brother of the pants here. This is a color called Moon Blue. I'm in a size large, 5'10", 190 pounds. And yeah, just really impressed with the overall material, just how lightweight it is. Again, this is made out of 100% recycled 3-layer Gore-Tex. It's got these nice thumb hooks so the jacket stays down where it's supposed to. And now we're fully waterproof, windproof. We got some more pockets here for, sometimes I'll put my phone in this outside pocket. We have massive vents here if you're touring or it's just a hot day, and they kind of have some mesh protection there so snow doesn't get in there. And also this jacket does have the Rico technology as well. So again, having the combination of the pants and the jacket just gives you, you know, it's just that much more protection. But one thing I really noticed with this shell, especially compared to my other shells that I use that are also 3-layer Gore-Tex, this one is extremely light. So I'm really curious and stoked to see how this performs in the snow when you're in those sort of, you know, really gnarly storms and stuff like that. But just on first sort of glance, first taste, yeah, really impressed with just how light and packable something like this can be. So, and another important thing with these jackets is, does it have a storm rideable hood? Right? Does it fit over your helmet? That's super important. Another way to really stay warm when you're in those windy days. So we must do the helmet test. Oh, feels good. Boom. Now you're able to storm ride. You got this up for more face protection. Cinches down in the back. Now you're good to go. So we got the Moon Blue, the Combat Green pants, and with this base layer, mid layer, outer layer combination, you should be good to go in really any condition. It just kind of depends from there. How insulated is your mid layer? How thick are the things that you're wearing? But for the most part, that's kind of the formula you want to try to follow. If you have insulative jackets and pants, usually that substitutes that mid layer for you. So maybe just wear a base layer, and depending on how insulated your stuff is, you should be good to go. Or maybe you just wear something small in between there. But for me, typically, I love having the ability to layer accordingly underneath, whether they're warm early season days or very cold peak season days, having the flexibility and knowing that I'll have the maximum waterproofing and windproofing with stuff like the high exposure 3-layer Gore-Tex is really, really nice. So I'm stoked to actually try this stuff, put it through its paces here in the Utah storms, get a few POW days under my belt using this suit, these mid layers. If you're interested in learning more information about what Mountain Hardwear offers, or even looking at these specific suits and mid layers, you can follow the link in the description, also in the pinned comment of this video, and you can find out more information. So thank you to Mountain Hardwear for sponsoring this video. I hope you guys learned something about the general process for layering, and I'll see all of you guys in the next video. Happy holidays, happy New Year's, squad. We're supposed to get some snow, so fingers crossed, and we'll be out on the slopes again.